Greetings, royal family. Have you ever had a friend like a sister? All right, let's get straight into it. Thanks for clicking on the video. Welcome, relax, let's go. Andi, this is where the episode opens up. Gary, remember, he popped out of that huge laundry basket with wheels. And she is basically telling Fatima, who is her assistant, who aided Gary in this little scheme. She's telling Fatima and she's telling Gary to get the heck out of her apartment. Now, I don't even take Andi seriously at this point, because how many times do you have to tell someone to get out and they still standing there having a conversation with you in a long, drawn out scene? Anyway, so she leaves. Fatima steps out. She come to find out she was still on the other side of the door. She didn't leave, but she was stepped out of the apartment, and Gary stays. Now, he says that his wife is watching him like a hawk, and he paid Fatima $500 to sneak him in her apartment. I would have did it. Why not? It's a cool 500. What the hell? Anyway, so Gary says that he was dying in that meeting, the meeting that took place on last episode, when he was sitting there next to his wife, and his wife was making him put up this front like he was going to be staying with her. I knew he looked mad. His jaws were tight. Anyway, so he said he was dying at that meeting, and his wife made him come in there and confront Andi. We already knew that. So Gary asked if this is really over, and Andi says yes. So she's angry, rightfully so. She's screaming at him, yelling at him, and she says that she got fired. Now, did they send her a text message or an email? Because when exactly did they say you're fired? When did she get fired? Anyway, we saw it coming. Neither. See, that's one of those little minor details that I guess Tyler overlooked. Anywho, so Gary gives her, he tries to hand her $100,000 in cold hard cash. And he tells her, you can use this to pay your bills. So he's showing that he's serious about being with her, because he knows she lost her job. And I guess he wants her to take care of herself, or he feels that he can take care of her. So Andi, she refuses it. She tells crazy Gary, okay, who just popped out of a laundry basket on wheels, that she has a date. I said to myself, what? Why? And I'm like, what date does she have? I know not with Maurice, because didn't she turn him down? So I said, oh, I see what she's doing here. She's trying to make Gary jealous. So this idiot, Andi, she tells Gary that she's going on a date with Maurice. She actually tells him who she's going on a date with. Remember, Maurice is representing wife client and also Gary, because Gary and his wife are supposed to be staying together. Oh my God. So then not only did she tell him that she has a date, she tells him that she has a date with Maurice. Then she tells Gary, we're going down to Freddie D's. I'm like, you just want this man to show up and cause ruckus, right? But did he? Stay tuned. So Gary says, I don't like that. I don't like that. Andi replies, I don't care. So she's real, you could tell that she's real cocky and arrogant as she's telling him this. Like, yep, I got a date. I don't care if you don't like it. So I was just like, ooh. Gary actually tells her that's not a good idea. And then accidentally calls Andi Jasmine. Jasmine is his wife's name. I call her wife client. So Andi actually gets offended at being called Jasmine accidentally. Like, why is she offended? Can somebody please just, even if you're lying, just try to make it make sense. Why would she be offended? I don't get that. What? At this point, this scene was too long, and it's time to move on. But they don't. So Andi kicks him out, So, oh my God. So she says, Fatima is standing. This is when we realize Fatima is standing on the other side of the door. So Gary jumps back into the hamper with wheels. He covers himself with the blanket, and Fatima rolls him out. I couldn't stop laughing. And Andi, she tells Fatima that she bet not do no ish like this no more. And she says that if she does, she'll never work for any law office on this side of town. Andy, you might not work in any law office or with any firm on this side of town, girl. Your law license is like hanging on by a thread. So then she kicks them out anyway. So Andy, she calls Maurice and she tells him, hey, meet me down at Freddie D's. And he was like, but I thought you didn't want to meet me now, now or never. And he's a smart guy. He seemed like he was a smart guy before this whole debacle that happened in this episode. But yeah, she's not thinking at all. Anyway, so we move on to the we don't work round here bank. And Calvin is being called by that girl. You know who she is. And she leaves a voicemail apologizing. Baby, please, baby, baby, please. So we see Calvin. It looks like he's sitting in the waiting room, the same waiting room in the hospital where Karen and Aaron were hugging. So whatever. So he calls that girl back because he sees that she's blowing up his phone. And he tells her, look, stop calling me. What the hell do you want? So she says, I want a chance to make it right. And he says, look, I ain't got time for this ish. Do not call me again. I don't want to know you. I don't want to see you. She's begging, begging, begging. He hangs up in her face. I actually enjoyed that scene. So Maurice, he walks in on that girl. She's in her office at this point. She's crying. So he walks in because Calvin, wants nothing to do with her. So she's boohoo crying. And Maurice ends up getting kicked out. So he gets a phone call. And the person says, oh, I think I have the wrong number. So Maurice calls the number back and they end up talking and flirting. So this is the guy, Alonzo, that came into the bank that was trying to holler at Sabrina, but said that he was married. He was trying to deposit I think it was an $800,000 check or 80, whatever, how much ever it was. Anyway, please be advised though, that Maurice is talking on his phone, flirting with someone on his phone while at work in front of the other customers. This is why I'm naming this bank, We Don't Do No Work Round Here Bank and Trust. So they plan to meet up, Maurice and Alonzo. They plan to meet up. Now remember, Alonzo said that he was married. So this just seems weird. And it's just like, here we go. Tyler just throwing another, storyline into this. Whatever. We'll see what becomes of this. We move on to Karen. She is on the phone with Danny. They're talking. She's in her apartment. And the cleanup crew is still in her apartment. This is how much damage did Zack and Aaron do? Like, why the cleanup crew still there? Anyway, so she's on the phone with, not Andy, she's on the phone with Danny, sorry. So Danny basically wants Karen to take Zack back so he can pretty much get up out of her house. But she also is trying to get them back together for some reason, I guess because she's the one that hooked them up. But that, again, I keep saying that dynamic between Danny and Zack is just weird. It's just weird. Anywho, yeah, so she's like, oh, where's Zack? Have you seen Zack? So Karen is under the impression that Zack is still staying with Danny, but Danny actually kicked him out. So that's lazy writing to me. It's just filler scenes, I guess. No, but for real, how long does it take the cleaning crew to clean up and sweep up some broken glass? I'm just saying, like, anywho, Andi, she calls Karen after Karen gets off the phone with Danny. Andi calls her and they're talking about Aaron, who's still at Karen's apartment while this cleanup crew is still there. So he's still over there. And Andi, she's telling Karen that Gary popped out of a laundry basket basically in her apartment and that she's going out with Maurice. Now, Andi says that she does not like Maurice and she's going out with him to make crazy Gary jealous. Karen tries to say, why are you going to do that? I said, now you want to try to give her sound advice, right, Karen? Now you want to try to give her sound advice? Anyway, we move on to Danny. She's at work. She confronts Zack. Zack is on a plane. He's cleaning the plane like Cole from Martin. And he's working overtime because he has no place to stay. So he picked up an extra shift. Danny hates to see him sad. This is what she says. And she tells Zack that he needs to talk to Karen and she's not with Aaron. So again, Danny is fighting for this relationship between Zack and Karen to work out. And it just seems weird. And she's just like, she's convincing Zack to go home. She claims that she wants to see him and Karen together. So she's doing all this fighting. And granted, some of them pay for her to eat and they may give her money for, her weed. But why is she going so hard for Karen, and yeah, they made up, but it doesn't seem like any of them would reciprocate the same thing for her. Back at the We Don't Work Ever Bank, a woman walks in, a white woman. She walks in, and Maurice offers to help her, and she's like, no, I'm waiting for her. So she's waiting for Sabrina to help her. She specifically wants Sabrina to assist her. And I just said to myself, who is this? Is this Calvin's girlfriend, friend, or whatever? She had a stank attitude, and she says that she had to come and look at Sabrina. So she hands Sabrina a check to deposit. I think it was a check for Calvin, I think. I didn't look. I didn't really care. And Sabrina says, why me? She said, oh, I just had to come get a look at you. This is what the white woman says. And Sabrina says, why me? And the lady replies, exactly, like real snobby. And then she walks off. So I'm saying to myself, oh, let me guess. This is either somebody that Calvin has dated or is dating. So simple. See how I figured that out? It's revealed that Maurice is still in communication with Calvin. So Sabrina and Maurice, they're talking as usual, not working. And why does it seem like the only people that come in there to deposit money is connected to some sort of drama somehow? Anyway, so it's revealed that Maurice is still communicating with Calvin, and you can tell Sabrina she feels some type of way about it, of course. Maurice, he ends up finding the girl that just left, the white girl, on social media, and she used to date Calvin. Ta-da! See how easy that was? So easy to figure out. Maurice tells Sabrina that he is going to go out with Alonzo. She tries to talk him against it, or against doing so, and she says, please just be careful. Just be careful, Maurice. Promise that you'll call me. Remember, he's married. He's married, isn't he? God, she gets on my damn nerves. Anyway, so I noticed that the music gets all serious. And again, Sabrina, she's worried. So I said, let me just take a shot at it. So let me guess, Maurice is going to die or get killed or something like that, or get seriously hurt by trade, See? That's lingo. Get into it. So we move on to Zack. He shows up at Karen's salon, and he's asking her assistant all these questions. That girl that was with her when Fawn offed herself. So the assistant tells him that, be good to Karen, because when she is right, when things are going right with her and Zack, everything in the salon is going right, and Karen is happy and she loves him. Whatever. Move on to Karen's place. They are finally done cleaning up. The cleaning crew is gone. And she and Aaron, they're sitting on the couch, they're talking, and she tells Aaron that her and Zack had actually gotten back together, I think a day before his wife, offed herself. And this scene was a total drag. There was too much silence between the lines. It was a drag. Anyway, Aaron says that he doesn't feel like talking to God right now because of the situation that happened with his wife. So I said, oh, okay, the typical something bad happened, so I lost my faith, how could God let this happen? I don't have any faith anymore. We've seen that storyline with Tyler before, or that scenario. So he ends up leaving, okay? And of course, I knew it. I said, watch, either Zack is gonna walk in or Zack is gonna be on the other side of that door. So the latter turned out to be true. Zack was on the other side of the door. He's standing there. And he has this little plant in his hand. Like, you couldn't bring flowers, my man. Whatever. So Aaron, he's telling Zack that, this is a good woman. He said, him and Karen, they never had sex. They never slept together. And she's a good woman and take care of her. Zack says nothing. He moves out the way so that Aaron could leave. And then Zack goes into the apartment. Now, he and Karen, before the commercial break, he and Karen are standing there and they're just looking at each other. And he's just like, I'm like, did somebody forget their lines? Let's go. Let's go here. This is a show. It's supposed to be moving seamlessly. After the commercial break, we see Andi. She is meeting up with Maurice down to the Freddie D's. Okay, so he wants her to come work for him. And Maurice actually reveals that he is on the bar as far as legally. So he can help her as far as it pertains to her law license. So she gets all bright-eyed and she gets excited. And I just said to myself, this is not going to work out in Andi's favor at all. I was like, you don't get something for nothing, especially with this guy. He's chocolate and he's fine, but I know crazy when I see it. So Maurice is a special kind of a-hole, right? So he basically says that Andi got as far as she did as far as it pertains to her career in law because she's a beautiful woman. You know, he starts mentioning her attractive body parts. You know, I'll keep it clean on the channel. And he says that he's giving her a dose of the truth. So she obviously feels uncomfortable and she's getting ready to get up and leave. And he, you know, he grabs her. I notice he has a problem keeping his hands to himself. So he propositions her to the bathroom. Bold guy, for a favor. And, you know, once she's done doing her favors, he will get her law license back on track. He'll look into getting her law license back on track because he has the power to do so. So he basically tells her, she says, well, what if I don't, you know, agree? So he basically tells her that if she refuses his advances, it could be the worst decision of her life. And I said, oh gosh, here we go. Here we go. So here it is. She tried to make Gary jealous. She doesn't like Maurice, and Maurice knows that Maurice is not stupid. He's very smart, crazy and smart, deadly combination. You abruptly called him to meet you at Freddie D's after you turned him down. So you tried to make Gary jealous, and you went from one crazy ninja to another one. This is like, I thought Gary was crazy. Maybe we haven't seen anything yet, but this dude is like next level crazy, okay? So he makes Gary look like JoJo Simmons, harmless. That's what I got from it. So she tells Maurice to meet her round back, okay? Then she runs out of the bar. Mind you, God, the acting was so bad. She's like, Mom. There weren't even a lot of people in Freddie D's. She could have just walked right on out of the bar, but it's Tyler Perry. So she makes the valet guy give her keys. And this nitwit, and I'm sorry, a lot of you are not going to like what I have to say. This nitwit, just talking about this particular scene, she's walking to her car by herself. Now, the valet parking lot, cars are blocking you, right? Granted, I get it. She was trying to get the heck out of there. But she sees that her car is blocked in. She finds her car. She's calling out to valet, hey, can you move these cars? Can you move these cars? And this ding head gets in the car, starts her car. She didn't lock her door. And guess who opens the passenger door and hops in? No, not Gary, Maurice. I said, oh gosh, here we go. So he was like, I don't like being stood up. I tell you, he's a different kind of crazy. And he grabs her and he's like, well, you're going to lead me on, so we kind of see where that's going. But I'm not getting excited because I understand how Tyler Perry works. So she's screaming and I'm just like, Lord have mercy. And that's where the episode ends. And I will get into the blatant colorism maybe on the next review because I'm pretty sure most of you can see it. That scene was a lot. It definitely was a lot. And not for reasons that you guys may think. I'll just leave it at that. I think Gary might have followed Andi to Freddie D's. I'm hoping he did because she did tell him she was going out with Maurice, okay? A little bit of foreshadowing there maybe. So she also said that she's going down to the Freddie D's and, Gary knows that that's her favorite spot. So maybe Gary followed her in the hopes that he would kind of see what was going on. So maybe he will come to her aid. That would be good, right? That would actually be good if Gary's there and he comes to her rescue. Anyway, the writing is just getting worse and worse. I said this on the morning show earlier. It's not even getting from bad to worse. It's getting from worse to worse. I don't know what's after that. I just want to see where Tyler is going to go with this one. I do. I'm going to say that I was disturbed. I was disturbed at the end. And again, not for obvious reasons, not because like, oh my God, let me be careful what I say. I don't want to trigger anyone and I don't want to be offensive. It's safe to say, to me, I think that Andi might be Tyler Perry's favorite character. And I'm sorry, I'm not falling for Tyler's colorism and emotionally charged manipulation. Nice try though, Tyler, but I'm not falling for it. And I mean that specifically in reference to the last scene, the entire scene. I'm not falling for it. And I just noticed a recurring theme that the individuals who are aggressive are of a certain hue. So, Royal Family, that concludes this episode of, or I keep saying episode, this review for Tyler Perry's Sistas. If you saw the episode, let me know what you think. If you haven't and you enjoyed the review, still let me know what you think. I'll be glad to answer any questions. Make sure you are hitting the like button. I greatly appreciate it. I had my iced coffee, so I get tongue-tied because my tongue is going fast. Now, listen. You don't have to agree with anything that I've insinuated in this video or anything that I said. That's totally fine. But please, let's respectfully disagree. Share your thoughts. Keep it cute in the chats. No profanity in the comments. Please, 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 please. I'll just delete it. So, Royal Family, I will see you next week. How many more episodes do we have left? Does anybody know? Please, someone remind me, because this was episode 17. So, yeah, I just really dislike the, that emotionally charged manipulation to get everybody going, especially with Maurice too. Like, what's going to happen with Maurice? Like, is he going to be a victim of some sort of assault? What's up with that? Tyler, you're not even on thin ice anymore. You've just fallen. So I'm signing off. I want to hear your thoughts. So I will meet you down in the comments as usual. Royal Family, until next time, peace.